In this video, we'll look at every killer and place them on a tier list to see which killers are the best and worst in Roblox Forsaken. Let's find out. Before we start though, my opinions are opinions and will probably be different than yours, so please respect my opinions and everyone's opinions in the comments. Thank you. Starting off with Jason. In my opinion, he goes straight to the A tier. Let's start with the pros of Jason. First off, he's a great punisher when people whip their stuns, and also he can parry, which means if you're quick enough, you can activate Raging Pace before they stun you, and you deal 70 damage instead of the usual 50, which is huge. Second, Behead is also really good at inflicting helpless onto survivors like Elliot, who solely relies on Rush Shower to escape. Behead is also good for finishing off survivors to skip the kill animation entirely. Third, Jason is one of the fastest killers tied with Cookid in sprinting. Fourth, Raging Pace can help quickly regain stamina in the chase, and the Slash, Behead, and Gashing Wounds damage increase also. Fifth and lastly, his passive, Mute, can help Jason surprise survivors doing generators with any ability. Overall, a really solid killer, especially when Jason is the default killer. But with pros, comes with cons. Let's talk about the cons of Jason. First off, Jason has no range attacks, which makes him rely on stamina management to catch up to survivors, but at least Raging Pace someone helps with that in chase. Second, he can't inflict slowness or any debuffs in general to catch up to survivors while all the other killers can. Third and lastly, if you're up against a good survivor who has 1 or 2 Bloxy Colas prepared for last man standing, you just lose. The amount of times I won against good Jasons in last man standing by just having 1 or 2 Bloxy Colas ready is insane. But as Jason, you can still win if you play smart. But this is just a niche con, and can also apply to any killer. Overall, Jason is just a really good killer, and only really has 2 cons. A really solid killer, especially since Jason is the default killer. Next, we have Cookid. First, let's talk about the changes on walk speed override and if we consider it a buff or nerf. Walk speed override now has a small windup being 0.55 seconds, making it easier to dodge when looking behind you. It does more damage in total, from 40 to 45 damage. That's including the burning effect. That's basically 50% of your HP gone from one ability alone. And also you can aim it when it's winding up, which is huge. I'd say it's a buff more than a nerf. In my opinion, Cookid is the best killer in the game right now because of this change alone, and he goes straight to the S tier. Let's talk about the pros of Cookid. First off, another amazing punisher when using walk speed override, and maybe even better than Gashing Wound at punishing in certain situations. Second, walk speed override can be used to catch up to survivors in last man standing when they're super far away at the start, or can be used at the start of a round to save time, or used in on survivors doing generators to surprise them. The ability's cooldown is 20 seconds, which also means you can spam it and get free damage constantly. Third, Corrupt Nature inflicts survivors with slowness 1 for 4 seconds, which is huge and amazing in chase, if you can aim. The ability's cooldown is 14 seconds, which is insane, hello? Fourth, his Pizza delivery is good at applying pressure on survivors around the map doing generators. Fifth and lastly, Cookid is an amazing killer and excels at it. He can kill you in basically 10 through 15 seconds, but he does have cons. Let's talk about the cons of Cookid. First off, and probably his most infamous weakness, he has no way to see survivors' auras except in last man standing, and his only way to know where survivors are is using Pizza delivery. It's somewhat reliable, but doesn't give the exact position of where they are. Meanwhile, the other killers know exactly where they are for a good while. Second, walk speed override is punishing when you miss. Plus, sentinels like Chance can stun you at the end of your animation. Third and lastly, while in last man standing, Cookid can lose because of walk speed override alone, because they get sent to the atmosphere when they miss and lose precious seconds when they could have just chased instead. I only recommend using walk speed at the start of a last man standing if you're someone near them. Overall, Cookid is the best killer right now and it's not even close. Before we start on the controversial killer right now due to his passive, this video took a while to make, so please like and subscribe. Thank you. Next, we have John Doe, but first, let's talk about the unstoppable rework and let's determine if it's a buff or nerf. Before the Unstoppable rework, he was the best killer in my opinion. Gaining speed buffs left and right like it was nothing. You get speed 1 30% of the time from his digital footprint and corrupt energy, and you get speed 1 70% of the time from his Unstoppable passive. You were only able to be stunned for 2.175 seconds, and gaining speed 1 at the same time for 2.5 seconds to catch up. But John Doe has a new passive called Stoppable. His speed 1 only activates for 2.5 seconds and can only be stunned for 2 seconds if he's winding up corrupt energy or 404 error. Why not digital footprint too? His speed 1 gains an extra second for each sentinel in the team. Example being, if 4 sentinels are alive, John Doe would get speed 1 for 5.5 seconds instead of 2.5 seconds. I literally only see this passive activate once, twice, or never. This overall is a nerf to John Doe. Unless you know the secret tech of pairing with 404 error or corrupt energy, this reverts the nerf basically, but depends on you if you're fast enough and the survivor if they even land a stun on you. But having to rely on parries just to make John Doe better is really unhealthy. John Doe is easily the worst killer now out of them all, and he goes straight to the B tier. He's still decent, and every killer isn't bad or outright terrible when played right, but in the case of John Doe, the other killers are just way better in my opinion. Let's start with the pros of John Doe. First, Corrupt Energy is a really good ability, being able to trap survivors, cut them off, and being able to hit them to be able to gain speed 1 for 7 seconds. And the cooldown being 18 seconds is also really good. Second, 404 Error is a good oral read ability to know where survivors are, and the oral lingers for a while so you can use Corrupt Energy afterwards. Third, Digital Footprint is a really good ability at denying generators and choke points, and gives you speed 1 for 10 seconds when a survivor steps on your puddle. Meanwhile, the survivor who steps on said puddle gets Corrupted 1 and Slowness 2 for 10 seconds, which means they are just dead immediately from the slowness alone. It lasts for a good 165 seconds and is also spammable with its 8-second cooldown, but it has a placement limit of 3. Fourth and lastly, his passive, Natural Malevolence, is just 3 extra damage by walking near the survivor for more damage. Let's talk about the cons of John Doe. First, Corrupt Energy can be easily dodgeable, just stand still and move left or right, or just counter it entirely by walking up to the John Doe. Second, Digital Footprint doesn't really have any cons, unless you place them really badly when trapping or placing them somewhere, but that's the only con I can really think of. Third, his M1 is so jukeable, bro, do I even need to explain? Fourth, the Unstoppable passive barely activates, but I already explained why it's so useless now already. Fifth and lastly, his last man standing performance is so bad. All you do is chase them unless they go to a spot that's easily blockable with Corrupt Energy, or they step on your puddle somehow, but low chances of both somewhat happening. If a sentinel is last, good luck even trying to hit them, because when they stun you, you're stuck in stun animation for years, bro. John Doe's fall from being the best killer to the worst killer is a sad sight to see, but hopefully they rework Unstoppable to make it useful again. Next and lastly, we have 1X, the ranged attack menace. Infamously known to be the worst killer. But will they be worse than John Doe? No. 1X goes to the A tier just behind Jason. Let's go over the pros of 1X. First, his passive, Parasitic, lets 1X apply Glitched and Poison to any attack that 1X has. Glitched also allows 1X to inflict more damage onto a survivor. Second, his Entanglement has a cooldown of 18 seconds, which is really OP for chases and also gives 1X speed 2 for 3 seconds. Meanwhile, the survivor that gets hit by Entanglement gets locked in place and has to complete a minigame. It is also a great synergy to his next ability. Third, Mass Infection does 35 damage, but if you line it up close, the survivor will be inflicted with Glitch 3 and Poison 5. Including the Poison 5, this in total does a whopping 75 damage. Fourth, Unstable Eye is great for oral reads and gives you speed 1 for 6.5 seconds. Fifth, and finally, Rejuvenate the Rotten is an insane ability for last man standing, and you basically win with this one ability alone. Let's talk about the cons of 1X. First, his Entanglement and Mass Infection are dodgeable if you have good reaction time. Second, Unstable Eye gives you Blindness 3 for 6.5 seconds, but shouldn't really be a problem, but survivors like 007 and 2-Time can time their clone or crouch to not be seen by your oral read. Third, 1X is easily stunnable when using Mass Infection. Fourth, and lastly, 1x is the slowest killer. Overall, 1x is the great killer, but they rely on good aim and predictions, but if you have both, then 1x easily sweeps the server. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe because this video took a while to make. Comment down below on why you agree or disagree with my tier list. I would love to see your guys' opinions. And as always, see you in the next Forsaken video.